Quite the intro. I'm going to have you stay standing if you'd like, because we're going to do air squats. I always start my talks the same way. This is my third year at React Miami. We've done it the same way every year. Lots of you have been here before. So, yeah, put your arms out in front of you like this. Squat down and come up. That's an air squat. This is exercise. It's good for you. Your brain needs blood flow, all of that. It helps you learn better. So we're going to do 12 of these together. Count out loud with me. Ready? 1, 2, yeah, count out loud. 3, 4, 5. Doesn't that feel good? 6, 7, 8. You're doing so great. Let's start over. 1, no, just kidding. And 11 and 12. Awesome. Stretch up over your head as high as you can, and even higher than that. Then over to one side and over to the other. Okay, now you can sit down. Thank you. Yes, that is so good for you. Yeah. Okay, so, hi React Miami. First I want to say that I thought React was okay, so like it was fine, but I'm glad that I'm a part of React community now. And also shout out to Gabe. As a father of 5 children, I'm definitely in favor of him having another, so good for him. That's exciting. So my talk is titled Stop Lying to Your Users, and we already did this, so I'm going to skip this. And we're going to start by defining the word lie. What is a lie? And the Webster's Dictionary says it's something that misleads or deceives. Okay, so the question then is, what is our lie? How are we lying to our users? If I say stop lying to your users, I'm implying that you are. Maybe you are. Some of us are. What is the lie? So I'm going to give a couple of examples of this lie that I want to talk about, and maybe you can figure out what the lie is. So here's one example. I hope none of you work on the apps that I'm going to show, by the way. So this is chase.com. I actually talked to one person here who works for a competitor to chase.com, so yeah, here you go. So I go to chase.com, I'm presented with the footer, and then the rest of the app loads in. And things are popping into place all over the place. That's a lie. Chase is lying to us. Okay, here's another one. This is Wikipedia, back when they were doing their fundraising. And so this is the article for the 2018 Hawaii False Missile Alert. You may remember that. That was kind of exciting if you lived in Hawaii in, like, not a good way. Yeah, it loads the article. I start reading, and then, poof, the fundraising thing shows up, which is totally fine. I am really glad that Wikipedia is what it is and everything. They're totally within their right to ask for money. That is not the lie, but there is a lie right here, and I don't like it. All right, here's another one. This was a meme that somebody created as a result of the missile warning system, but it represents something that we all are familiar with. And now, look, we're buying watches, I guess. Whoops. No, we're actually sending a warning. Oh, no. So that's a lie. That's the same sort of lie that we're talking about. And here's another one. I am very bad at chess. And so I lost this game, and I want a rematch. Oh, but actually I'm buying a Coke. There's another example of our lie. And then here's my least favorite, but also favorite for this example, YouTube.com. Initially, we get the index.html, which has nothing useful on it at all. And then we get enough JavaScript to render stuff, but not enough to actually make the search bar work. What it does is it clears your search, but it doesn't actually perform the search. It takes 1.3 megabytes just to get stuff to render, 1.3 megabytes of a single JavaScript file. There are other things that are downloading as well. And then another 500 megabytes to download enough to make the search work. That is the worst kind of lie. It's really bad UX. And I started talking about this like 3 years ago. So, and even still today, YouTube still operates like this. I do hope none of you work on these apps, and I'm sorry if you do. But if you do work on YouTube, could you please fix this? And I'm going to talk about how to fix this later in the talk. So the lie is, we're ready for you. This is us lying, probably. Most of us probably have something like this in our apps where we're telling this lie. The app is ready. you can start using it. That's the lie we're telling our users. But in all of those cases, the app wasn't ready. It just looked like it might be maybe ready for us. So as my friend Mark Texan says, let's do better. So here's how you do better with this lie. If the app isn't ready, don't make it look like it is. And that reminds me of this SNL sketch that you might be familiar with. Oh no, I am plugged in to sound. Can we get the sound on this video, please? It's much more entertaining if we get sound.
If you don't have any money...
Okay, no, well, here we go.
It's called Don't Buy Stuff You Cannot Afford.
Oh, let me see that. If you don't have any money, you should not buy anything. Sounds interesting.
Sounds confusing.
So now, I want to be sensitive. Some people actually don't have the money, that we're not making fun of them. But the idea is, if the app isn't ready, don't make it look like it is. So let's talk about each one of these examples and see how we can improve this user experience. So Chase.com, the problem here is that Chase has a bunch of dynamic stuff that's going to determine what you see. So they put a index HTML somewhere on a CDN that loads, and all that they can reliably show you is the footer, basically. And then they load in the rest of the information. But is there a better way? Could we do this better? Let's do better. So, whoops, that was the wrong direction. Here we go. So how we can do better, you might say, well, okay, just generate the HTML page, static site generation, stick that on a CDN. But again, the problem is that they are doing a lot of dynamic stuff. They're doing A/B testing. If you've signed into that browser before, they want to remember your username, whatever. So we're not going to put the static HTML on a CDN. Instead, what we could do is SSR that thing and stick a cookie for whatever stuff you need to make dynamic, and it works great. The thing is that you hit their website, and instantly they're making a bunch of requests to their backend anyway. So it's not like you're going to save anything from a infrastructure cost by not rendering HTML. It's no more expensive to render HTML than it is to render JSON, which is what they have to do when they are making all those different requests. So it actually could probably be more cost efficient if they switch to SSR. There's a lot of nuance to all of this, and I'm not going to pretend that I understand all of their constraints. But yeah, this is how we could improve the user experience. And I saw, when I made this slide, I was like, that totally looks like a trig meme. OK, so let's talk about the Wikipedia example. How can we improve this? The thing is, maybe we can assume that SSR and the cookie, that's always going to be the answer for, make it look right when it shows up, right? But we're going to pretend that we understand some constraint. For some reason, they can't SSR this. Or maybe the case is that they're not SSRing this stuff right now, and they need to, they want to eventually, but it's just such an enormous task. What can we do in the interim? And that's the situation that we find ourselves in a lot, is yeah, I can see what the awesome finished place would be, but getting there is just an enormous task. So how can we kind of band-aid this with a better solution? So here's how we can band-aid this. The way that they implement that cookie banner, it's not a cookie banner, sorry, the way they handle that fundraising banner is they have a cookie. When you say, no, I'm not going to, or I already did, or whatever, they'll update this cookie. And so you can literally just add a class to the HTML document and use styling to determine whether or not that thing shows up at all in the first place. Just stick the script tag at the top of your HTML document. And they could put that on the CDN, that would static generate, whatever, and that would work. So I think it's not so much, this is a really simple solution. I'm no rocket scientist. None of us are, I think, but I'm pretty sure that this is something that anybody could put into place. It's just often we don't think about this experience because we're developing on a machine that's connected to a server on our machine, and so things are super fast. We never even notice that people with a slower network connection could have this really bad experience. So it actually does require a fair bit of empathy to think about people who are not running our website on their machine. OK, so let's talk about these two. They're pretty much the same problem. Both showing up an ad after the fact, and ads are like notoriously challenging in this world because often you as the application developer, you don't have control or as much control over the ads or how they're shown or whatever, but you do have some. So here's how we can do better with this. Just burn the ads. Get rid of them all. Just, they're all gone. We hate ads. No, just kidding. Some of us legitimately need ads for our platform, and there's nothing inherently wrong about using ads to support your work and everything. So how can we improve it? You could just make CSS solve the problem. Again, CSS is amazing. Yoon is going to talk to us later about all the really cool things that we have from CSS that are modern CSS stuff. It's amazing. But yeah, you just make a little area and say, this is my ad spot. And it's going to fill its spot, and it's going to take it up. Whether the ad loads or not, it's just going to be there. And that way, when it does load eventually, it doesn't bump anything out of the place. Now, this can be a little bit more complicated because sometimes you don't even know what the size of the ad is. But I think that you could make a case for enforcing some sort of size or dimension for the ads that are in your site. So that is one way that we could do better. We're here to just improve user experience in any way that we can, and this is a great solution to that. Okay, now we're going to talk about YouTube. The thing I hate about this so much is that the browser knows how to handle form submissions. It doesn't need JavaScript to do form submissions. And so when I am doing this search in this input, they're using JavaScript to handle that submission and navigate me with their client-side router or whatever. But literally, all that you need to do, and let's assume that we can't instantly go to SSR and use cookies and all that. So really, all that you need to do, if you're within that constraint, or even if you're not in that constraint, you'd server that render this too. But you could stick this in your index HTML that you stick on the CDN everywhere. Just literally render the search input from the very start, and I could instantly do what I want to do. I don't need JavaScript. This will submit. This is HTML. Okay, I'm just kidding. That search icon, that's a React component. But you just server render that, whatever. You generate that, or however you do that. You don't have to use a search icon thing. I made that up. But the point is, you have an action to results, because that's where it ends up taking you. And you'd have an input with a name. The search query is what they call it. And you submit that, and it'll just work. That's just how the web works. And so, don't not use the web, I guess, is the solution to this problem. And so, again, this isn't rocket science. I didn't even apply to work at Google. I probably couldn't get a job over there, but the people who work there are really smart. It's not that they're not smart. They could do this, I'm sure. It's that maybe they just haven't thought about it, or for a lot of their users, they're who hasn't been to YouTube? They have all of our stuff cached anyway. Well, I hate to tell you, but I didn't go looking for problems in YouTube. I experienced this as an actual user, and that's when I discovered this problem. So people are suffering at the hands of your app, maybe, and you don't even know. And so, again, it just takes a little bit of thought in how can we avoid lying to our users and make the user experience as awesome as possible. So the cool thing about putting together a talk like this is that you realize all of the problems that you have in your own app. And so I finally, as a result of putting this together, I knew that people would call me out if I didn't fix my own problem. And so I finally did. And I had a couple images on my homepage that were bumping content around if you didn't already have that downloaded. And so, yeah, I fixed that. And now the content isn't bumping around. I got the animation, and that kills my one of my Lighthouse scores. I don't care. It's a good UX. I don't care about numbers. I care about the UX, and the UX is awesome. At least I like it, and that's all that matters because it's my website, folks. So yeah, I like the way that it looks, but it's at least not bumping content around all over the place. And that was the goal. And here's how I solved it. I did better with aspect ratio. That was it. Just some CSS. It's amazing. Again, yeah, listen to Yuna later today. She's going to tell you all the amazing things that CSS is bringing to the table. It's super, super cool. And that's really all I have for you this morning. So I do have a couple resources. I've got a link to this talk in blog post format and then go learn the web, folks. Like, we've got some really cool stuff that you don't necessarily need JavaScript for. You can do a lot of really cool things, especially with the modern platform features that you don't need to use JavaScript to solve these problems. And by not using JavaScript, it means you don't have to download the JavaScript for it to work from the very start. And you can make your app not only look like it's ready, but actually be ready. And that is what defines a really good experience to me. That's it. You're great. Thanks, everybody.